Welcome, everybody. We are excited to have you for this session of Explore Simpson. This is the first session that we've actually done dedicated for juniors and under, specifically, who are looking at colleges. So that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. We're going to give folks a couple more minutes to jump on here. So if you are able, go ahead and introduce yourself in the chat. You can go ahead and open that chat at the bottom. So if you click at the bottom of your screen, there should be a little tab there that allows you to open up the chat box. So go ahead and introduce yourselves and we will get started shortly. So just let us know your name, your hometown, you're in school, and any kind of interest you're thinking about. And it's okay if you're not quite sure what you are going to major in yet. You still got a little bit of time, but we like to just know where everyone's at. Alrighty. I will introduce myself. My name is Maddie. I am the Assistant Director of Diversity, Inclusion, and Access in the admissions office. I primarily work with students in the Latinx community, so I work with students all across the country. We also have two students on tonight, Kimberly Roberts and Liv Collins, and I'll let them introduce themselves really quick.
Hi,
Kimberly,
I'm Kimberly. Oh yeah, sorry. I'm Kimberly. I am a senior majoring in marketing communications with a minor in management.
And I'm Olivia, or Liv. I go by both. I'm a junior still, kind of. I'm taking a May term, so I'll be a senior next year. I'm majoring in religion and minoring in women and gender studies and public relations.
Awesome. And we also have Kylie Gottschalk on as well. She will be in the chat helping field any questions for you. She's one of our admissions counselors and she will be working on our communications team as well. You'll be able to hear more from Kimberly and Olivia at the end when they share kind of their own experiences and do some Q&A. But first we wanted just to kind of go over what the agenda is going to look like for tonight. So we're going to go over just some general admissions information. If you've never been to Simpson's campus, we'll just kind of go over a couple of interesting things. And then we'll jump right into kind of how to organize your college search. And then we'll follow that up with Kimberly and Olivia with their student personal experiences. And then we'll have time for Q&A at the end. So we should be together for about a half an hour, maybe a little longer. What I would recommend doing if you are planning on kind of taking some notes, that would be a good idea. We will send a follow-up email with the presentation that has the links and some documents for you, so that way you can kind of start organizing your search. But if you want to take notes, I definitely recommend it. All right, so we'll just jump into some quick admissions information here. So a little bit about Simpson. We are located in Indianola, Iowa, which is about 15 minutes south of Des Moines. We have about 1,200 full-time undergraduate students on campus. We also have a West Des Moines campus, which houses primarily our continuing and graduate education. And total, we have about 2,000 students that attend Simpson College. Big part of Simpson is our size. So we are a small liberal arts college. And I think a big takeaway students have is that they like having that one-on-one relationship with the professors. That's because we have intentional small class sizes. So on average, class is going to be about 12 per professor, maybe a little bit smaller, maybe a little bit larger, depending on your major. If you're going into like the health field or the sciences, some of those early on classes in your freshman, sophomore year, those lectures might be a little bit bigger, maybe 30 to 40 students. But for the most part, your labs will be smaller. And if you're in like a humanities major or anything like that, you'll definitely have a lot more one-on-one time with your professor, which is really nice. You'll get to know them a lot, and they will actually be your advisor throughout your career at Simpson. So they'll really be able to kind of help you shape what your career goals are and really network with you and help you find the right fit for you when you're done with college. Simpson offers 80 different majors, minors, and pre-professional programs. So there's something for everybody. Simpson students are very, very passionate about a lot of things. And so it's very common to see students double major. It's really common to see folks pursuing minors and doing internships and undergraduate research. At Simpson, we are able to kind of help you shape that schedule and personalize it for you to make it happen for you. So don't feel overwhelmed. It's really, really easy to do a double major and graduate on time. And we even offer class credit for some internships and undergraduate research. So we really make it happen for you. Great return on your investment. 99% of Simpson College graduates were employed or attending graduate school within 6 months of graduating from Simpson. So I'm sure that's really helpful for mom and dad to hear. So I really think it's a good investment. We make sure that you're prepared for the real world with the style of classes that we host on campus. And then we also have a very excellent internship program. A lot of students tend to do at least one internship while they're with us, if not more. I know several students who have definitely completed more than one. We have a great career development center that's going to help you figure out how to interview for a job, editing your resume, and finding some of those great internships, not only in Iowa, but across the country and across the world, which is great. And then finally, all of our students will receive some sort of financial aid. So regardless of where you're from, what your background is, all of our students are going to get some sort of financial aid. But we'll dig in on that once you all are seniors. Right now, we're going to focus on some of the fun stuff, which is just figuring out some things about college. So what should you do next? So as juniors or sophomores, if you have not set up any kind of individual visit with us, I highly recommend it. So right now, because of COVID, we are doing things virtually like we're doing right now. So you are able to go to our website, simpson.edu/visit, and you can set up an individual virtual visit. You'll meet with one of the counselors like myself or Kylie, and then you're able to meet with faculty, with any kind of coaches, students, really anything you're interested in, we'll make it happen. So just let us know. It's a quick survey. You fill it out of who you want to meet with, and we'll get it set up for you. Also recommend kind of right now, while things are winding down for folks, reach out to some of your favorite teachers or coaches. Maybe you're really active in your community or a church, something like that. Now is the time to kind of start having them think about a letter of recommendation for you. The biggest thing about college applications is you want to make yourself stand out, especially if you're applying to a school that is really highly selective and very competitive. You don't want to be like everybody else. You want to find what makes you unique. So definitely consider reaching out to them right now and asking them to do that. A lot of students will likely be asking them for that, and you want to be prepared as applications start opening in July. And speaking of that, apply to Simpson. So we would love to have you apply to attend Simpson College. Our application will drop in July, and we start rolling applications, which means we start accepting people as soon as we start receiving applications. So we'll start that process in August, and then we review them as we receive them. So we accept people from August all the way through right now. So if you have any questions about that, pop it into the chat. But again, highly encourage you to set up an individual visit with us. We also have some group visits that we've done virtually. You can go to our YouTube channel and check out specific topics that feature Simpson College, like Greek life, academics, speech and debate, performing arts, sports, all sorts of stuff. So if you missed any of that, you can definitely check that out, and we'll be doing more of those things in the fall for sure. Alrighty. And then last, obviously super easy for you all to do, follow us on social media. It's the easiest way for you to stay up to date with what's going on. So you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Simpson College and Simpson Admissions, or you can just check out the hashtag #OneSimpson and see what students are posting about. But this will be really the easiest way for all of you to check up on us and see what's going on and stay up to date with what's happening on campus and what's going on with events. All right, so now we're going to kind of kick things off and dig into how you can really organize your college search. So I know from my own experience, I was a first-generation college student. I was the first person ever in my family to go to college. My parents, just went from high school right into their career fields, and so looking at universities and colleges is just like a foreign language to them. They had no advice for me, and so I was kind of on my own. And so really figuring out and navigating that process can be really overwhelming. And so our goal, regardless if you apply to Simpson or not, is to help you figure out how to really get things together, stay organized, and make sure that you're finding the right college that is the right fit for you. So the first thing that you want to do is kind of just figure out what's important to you. You don't have to know exactly what you want to do for the rest of your life. I think if I asked myself at 16 what I wanted to do with the rest of my life, I would not be able to answer that, or the answer would be super different from where I am now at 30. So I think it's really important for you to think about what exactly do you want to get out of your college experience? What is the primary goal for you? What are your non-negotiables? So by non-negotiable, I mean, what are things that you absolutely cannot live without? Are you someone that location is going to be your top priority? You absolutely have to live in a city, or you really are close with your family and you need to be within 2 to 3 hours of home. Those are things you need to think about. What are just some things that you have right now in your day-to-day life that you absolutely could not live without? Once you kind of think about that, you're going to want to identify what your top 3 to 5 deciding factors are and rank them from the most important to the least important. And this will be really helpful when you're doing research. So some examples of deciding factors: obviously academics. Don't really want to go to a college that does not have the thing you want to study, right? School size, class size. I think school size is something that a lot of students really don't necessarily think about right away until they actually get there. So when you're going on visits, make sure that you are checking out what the class sizes are like, and you know yourself best. So what type of learning environment is good for you? Do you do well? Are you a self-starter? Do you do well in those big lectures where, you know, there's really not anyone checking on you? You're kind of taking your own notes and really holding yourself accountable for getting everything done? Or do you like more of a smaller class size where the professor knows your name, like at Simpson, and they are really able to have a one-on-one relationship with you and really know you? So thinking about some of those types of things. Location, where's the school located? This is a big one as well. Thinking about, you know, staying in Iowa or maybe going out of state. What kind of things interest you? What field do you want to work in? Are you going to be going to grad school? All of these things will help you with location. Diverse populations is important too. College is really about, you know, obviously exposing yourself to new ideas and meeting new people. So just think about, where is the school located? What kind of populations do they have on campus? What is their cultural awareness like on campus? I think that's something that a lot of students are really talking a lot about now. So I think that's important to really dig in on that and figure that out. What kind of research opportunities do they have? Financial aid, cost is a huge factor. So can you afford it? What kind of scholarships are they going to give you? And then just overall fit and feeling. A lot of students that I talk to, when I ask, so why did you choose Simpson? And a lot of them are like, it just felt right. I was on campus and it just felt like home. And you might have that feeling, you know, when you come to Simpson. So I think just thinking about some of those things, there's other factors as well, but definitely get organized. Start making a list, start writing things down, and thinking about exactly what is the most important to you and doing your deciding factors. Once you do that, you're going to jump into research. So right now, this is the time that you're going to want to start thinking about your priority lists. So you're going to use that list of your 3 to 5 deciding factors, and you can have more than 5, but I would say start smaller, and start researching schools. And I don't mean just go to Google and, you know, type in something random, because that can bring you all sorts of stuff. So these are the 3 search engines for colleges and tools that I think are the most helpful, that I've kind of dug in on, and I think they are user friendly. That's the first thing. But they also have a lot of academic and extracurricular information about colleges. So Big Future is probably my favorite. It is College Board's version of a search engine. So it's sponsored and owned by College Board. If you're not familiar with College Board, I think they're probably the most up-to-date, you know, with the times, and they've got a lot of user-friendly activities. So if you're not following them on social media, highly recommend it. Check them out, collegeboard.com. But Big Future is really nice because it allows you to look things up in layers. And it actually has all these steps on there. So you can create an account, you can set up your own priority lists, and then they will filter colleges. And it kind of gets to know you. You can take different quizzes, different surveys, things like that, and it will kind of help you, you know, like speed dating for a college and match you with a place that it thinks might be good for you to check out. College Navigator is similar in that fashion. It's a little more old school, kind of Microsoft Word level search engine, but it's a classic, very helpful, really easy, very simple. The only thing that I would say about that is I don't think College Navigator has any specific search engine stuff related to extracurriculars, so like campus life. And I know campus life is a big factor for a lot of you, so that might be something to think about. I also like College Data. It's a government-sponsored website, so that's really helpful because they keep things really up to date in terms of financial aid information. So highly recommend checking all three of those out and just seeing kind of what's the easiest for you to use. But they make things super simple, help you keep organized, so that way you're not having to like post-it note things and write things down and doing all of that. So check out some of these search engines and get started on that now over the summer while you've got some time. So once you have started your research, next what you want to do is investigate the admissions requirements and compare your own personal statistics. So things you need to think about for yourself is what is your academic career look like? If someone was to look at you and look at your high school transcript, what are they going to see? What kind of grades are they going to see? If there's any like C's or D's on there, think about, okay, you know, what's my explanation for that? Did something happen? You know, was I just took too many AP classes, or I had, you know, maybe something happened personal at home, things like that. Those are the kinds of things that admissions folks are going to look at. And just kind of, some might ask you, some might not, but those are things that they might think about when they're looking and trying to compare you to thousands of other students that are applying to their college. So think about what your GPA looks like, what your academic career looks like, but then also think about maybe your test scores, ACT or SAT, what does that look like? And does that school, is that important to them? Are they a test optional school? So I'll talk about that in just a second. And then what kind of extracurricular involvement do you have? So beyond academics, a lot of schools are really looking for well-rounded leaders. So what kind of activities are you involved in school? And what are some of those things that you're involved in outside of school? So just start thinking about that stuff. A lot of times when I've interviewed and talked to incoming students, you know, I ask, well, so what do you like? What's your favorite, what are your activities you like to do? What are some things that you do on the weekend? And it's kind of like, well, I don't know. You guys are so busy. I think you just don't even realize it. High school students, you guys are doing so much. So don't sell yourself short. There's lots of things you are doing. When you're looking at admissions requirements on their website, the colleges will talk about really what are their bare bones requirements. So you're going to want to look and see, are these schools competitive or highly selective? So if you're using some of these search engines, they will do a compare and contrast side-by-side list, and they will tell you the percentage of the acceptance rate. So when you see an acceptance rate, for example, of 60%, that means that 60 out of 100 students who apply get into that school. So it's whatever number out of 100. So when you see those schools that are 10%, 15%, that means that only 15 students out of every 100 students that apply to that school get in. So that means that it's going to be really hard to get in. You're going to want to make sure you have great personal essays. That's why, you know, maybe having letters of recommendation is really important. Thinking about what kind of acceptance timeline is there. So Simpson has a rolling admissions, which means that we just gradually, we don't have any kind of early acceptance. Once you start applying, we accept you as you come in. So it just really depends on kind of your schedule. I think for athletes, that's really the biggest thing that we see is in the fall, it can be sometimes hard to apply early to schools, but if you are interested in some of those highly selective schools, they might have an early acceptance rate. So getting things in on time is going to be key for sure. So make sure that you're just kind of looking and being realistic about what colleges are available. You know, don't deny yourself and think, oh, I don't have that GPA, I can't get in there. Apply anyway, because GPA is not everything. Again, schools are looking for who you are as a person. And so if there's a place that you really want to go or you're really interested in, you know what, apply to the school. I think you're not doing yourself any favors by telling yourself no. So come from a place of yes, go after it, apply to the schools that you really are excited about. But again, also think of, okay, what are some schools that I could really get into and I could thrive at? So you want to find a balance for sure. And you're going to want to make your final list of schools. So once you've kind of gone through, you've sort of narrowed down your field, you're going to want to just make a final list of schools that you would consider visiting. So I highly recommend going on as many college visits as possible. In the era of COVID, a lot of people are doing things virtually, so it actually makes things really easy for you. I know getting on campus is going to be something that is super important because you want to feel the vibe and make sure this is the right fit for you. But take advantage now while schools are doing all of these different programs online. Half an hour out of your day is really no big deal. So definitely check out all the things that are going on. Check out the websites and social media. That will tell you a lot about the school. And then make sure you apply and set up a visit. I think a good list to have is probably like maybe 10 to 15 schools, I think is a good solid list, and then kind of narrow your way down from there. Having less or having more is totally fine. You just want to make sure it's manageable and realistic for yourself. So once it comes to campus visits, this is kind of the next layer. You've created your list, you're down to your 10 schools that you're like, yep, I could see myself there. Let's go check it out. Let's go visit campus. So you could just go to any admission section of the college website, and that's where they're going to have all of their visit options. So most schools have either group visits or personal visits. All schools have both of them. Some of the bigger schools tend to have a lot of group visit days. We at Simpson really like the personal experience, so we are going to push you to definitely come and have that one-on-one experience. For a group visit, these are pre-prepared programs that typically are about half day on campus, and you're typically with a lot of other families. So it's really general information. You're taking a campus tour. They might have some split up sessions you can go to that are more specific to you, but they keep it very general at group visits. This is a good way, I think, to kind of kick things off in the fall or even in the springtime of your junior year to really just narrow down even further your list. But I highly recommend setting up individual visits with all of the colleges that you're really interested in, because those personal visits where you're really talking one-on-one and seeing, is this going to be the best fit for me? That's going to be really, really helpful. That's where you're going to see, can I picture myself here? What's the student body like? Do I like this faculty? What is the fit? What does it feel like when I'm on campus? So really take your time on those visits. Again, this is all about you, so don't feel bad asking a bunch of questions. And honestly, this is your one time to be super selfish, right? You're investing a good chunk of change into going to college, and so really make this about you. Visit all the places that you want to go to, and I'll tell you a little bit about some tips and tricks that I think will be really good for you on an actual campus visit. Highly recommend visiting schools that you really like more than once. You're going to be there for 4 years at least, so you want to make sure that you really like it there. So it's okay to go more than once. And honestly, we have overnight visits as well, so students can really stay on campus, stay with someone in the dorms and really get the feel for what it's actually like. And I think that's a very popular option. So Simpson makes it really nice and really accommodates you to make sure that this is the place that you want to be. We're a very welcoming community, so I think that's something that students really like about us. So how to have a really good visit. Campus visits can be super overwhelming. A lot of times students that I see sometimes can be really quiet or just kind of taking things in. I highly recommend just thinking about things ahead of time. So, maybe a couple days before you go to the school, do a little more research ahead of time and think about some of the questions that you're going to want to ask. Bring something to write with so you can write things down. You can make a pros and cons list, things you liked, things you didn't like, and then go back later and decide, okay, is this match up with my non-negotiable list? I don't recommend bringing with, all your aunts and uncles and friends. Don't bring a ton of people with you. I think it's okay, mom and dad, another set of eyes, or maybe your best friend or a sibling. But I think keeping it to, 2 to 3 people is good. You want to have another pair of eyes with you that's kind of seeing things from another perspective, especially if you're really enamored with a school. It's really helpful to have someone else with you for sure to just check out all of those things. But sometimes when you have a ton of people with you, you miss a lot of things and you get distracted. So just be cognizant and be aware of how many people you're bringing with and who you're bringing with you. Always ask if you can visit classrooms or sit in on an actual class and observe a class. You're going to be spending most of your time studying and in these classrooms. So you want to make sure that this is the style that fits best with you. if you can check out a lecture, see if you can attend or sit in and observe a lab or something like that. Those are just things that schools won't do for you, without you asking. So make sure that you specifically say you're interested in doing that, because I think it's really going to help you really envision yourself at that school. Engage with current students whenever possible. Students are super friendly. So when you're on campus tour, when you are, after your visit, I highly recommend maybe heading over to like a student center or, the library, or places where coffee shop, places where students hang out, and don't hesitate to ask questions, right? Because students are going to be super honest with you, and they're going to tell you what they love about the campus, things that they wish were better. So definitely ask students' opinions. It's going to be really helpful. And don't be afraid to ask as many questions as possible. Again, this day is all about you. So it's okay to be selfish. Ask every question. There is no such thing as a dumb question. Just ask everything, because you don't want to go home and think, oh, I forgot to ask them that. So it's really important. Just ask whatever it is that you are interested in. And be confident. This, again, it's all about you. There might seem like we're interviewing you, but really when you come on a campus visit, you're interviewing us. You're looking at us and saying, okay, is this where I want to spend the next 4 years of my life? So I think that's really important to remember, that it is about you, and it's not about the school, it's about you. Okay, so I'm going to turn it over to our students. They're going to share a little bit about their own experiences, and then we will have time for Q&A. So Kimberly, do you want to go ahead and kick it off?
Sure. So yeah, like I said, my name is Kimberly. I started my college search just about the time you guys are starting. I spent a lot of time my junior year in high school just deciding what I wanted in the college. So like size, location, everything Maddie talked about really. And then the summer between my junior and my senior year, we used to have this thing called Iowa Private College Week. It doesn't really exist anymore, but it's the first week of August where a lot of the private colleges will do visit days. In my year, they did a contest where if you go to a certain amount of private colleges, they will give you a prize. So my best friend and I were like, oh, let's just do it for fun. So we went to one other college, and then my best friend's dad actually worked at Simpson, and she was just like, come with me. I think you'll like it. So I came to Simpson, and all I remember from that first visit was like, wow, like this feels like home. But I'm also from Indianola, so I was like, that's not right. So then I spent a lot of my time senior year coming back to campus and just learning more about what Simpson had to offer, whether that was campus life stuff, so like living on campus and Greek life, to just like academics. I started going to Simpson thinking I was going to be a teacher, and now I'm not a teacher. Like I'm not majoring in that anymore. So it's really cool just to see that. Also, my admissions counselor was super helpful. I was just telling Maddie earlier today, I spent my whole spring semester almost once a week in my admissions counselor's office talking to him about what to do next, scholarships available, just being ready to take those next steps. But a big reason why I chose Simpson at the end was speech and debate. We are 3-time national champs, but now going in, it was just for 1-time national champ. And then also just the small classes and being close to home was really important to me.
Awesome. Thanks, Kimberly. All right. Liv, do you want to share your experience?
I would love to. Well, again, I'm Liv. I'm a junior, so a little bit less research than Kimberly. I didn't really look too much into different things about colleges. I knew that I wanted to go to a pretty small school, somewhere private. So I visited a lot of the ones in Iowa because I wanted to stay pretty close to home. So I went to Luther, Wartburg, pretty much all over the state. And I really chose Simpson because it felt the most like home, which is kind of funny because it's like the farthest away from my actual home. But yeah, I really just based it off of, I really felt comfortable on campus and I felt like I could fit in here. Even though like all the buildings were red brick and I knew that I was going to get lost. I figured it out eventually and it, became really comfortable for me. Simpson was the only place that I visited more than once. I came 3 times actually, just to really make sure that I would like it, and I did. My admissions counselor was really cool. My ambassadors were always really helpful, and they really knew, what was going on campus. And yeah, it was just kind of a feeling thing for me. I didn't really do too much else, I guess, which it worked out, so it's okay.
Awesome. Okay, so now that you've kind of heard from Kimberly and Olivia, what questions do you all have either for our students about their own experiences or things on campus, or any of the information that I shared earlier with you? You can use the chat box and go ahead and type your questions in the chat box, and we'll try to answer them as best we can. If you want to, you can definitely take yourself off mute and talk to us. That's totally fine too. So we are open to any questions that you might have at this time. Kimberly and Liv, one thing I think that's interesting is, can you talk a little bit about like how many schools you went to visit? Kimberly, did you visit as many schools? Liv, sounds like you went to a lot of the private schools across Iowa. Kimberly, did you do the same?
I focused mostly on Simpson and Central, but I did apply to other schools, not only just to see if I could get in or not, but to also have like backup options as well.
Yeah,
What were some things that, oh, sorry, go ahead, Liv.
I visited a lot of schools. I don't think anything outside of D3 or D2, but I only applied to Simpson, and it worked out. So
You kind of did the opposite. Instead of like applying to a whole bunch of schools, you did your visits first and really decided, okay, this is where I want to spend my time and apply.
Yep.
Nice. And you guys can all definitely do that too. Again, it's really what works best for all of you. Do you have any advice for anybody in terms of like things you wish you would have known, when you were looking at schools? You guys are both ambassadors, so you kind of know the ins and outs of admissions and Simpson. So do you have any advice for anyone?
I
Yeah.
would say, sorry, I would say my biggest advice is know that you can change your major. So, like I said before, I came in my first year thinking, oh, I'm going to be a teacher. I know exactly what school district I want. I want this school. Like, I thought I had my whole life planned out. But just this last junior year, I decided, nope, that's not for me anymore, and switched my major. And going in and like starting the whole college search, I would have never known. Like, I thought whatever you put on your application is what you're going to do, and that's what you have to follow. What's really nice, especially about Simpson, is we have over 80 different majors and minors. So I got to change my major right off the bat junior year, and I'm still going to graduate on time, which is really cool. So just know that whatever you say you're going to do, like, yes, you might stay with it, but also know that you can change it.
Yeah, it's funny because I have a very similar story. I changed my major, I think a few weeks after Kimberly did. And same thing, I'm still going to graduate on time. My professors have been really helpful and have, made it work for me in not a traditional route, but I'm still going to graduate on time, which is important. I think the advice that I have some friends who are still in high school, and something that I would have told myself when I was coming into college was that it's not as hard as you think it is. It's not as scary as you think it is. I felt like I was going to drop out within a week because I had no idea what was going on. But you just have to remember that nobody has any idea what's going on when they come into college, and you're not in any college classroom to be smart. The professor's there to be smart. You're there to learn and to pick up things from the professor and pick up new points of view from the people around you. You're there to learn. So
I think that's a great piece of advice. I really like the way that you framed that. Okay, well, I don't see any other questions in the chat box. So I think we'll just go ahead and close things up. Thank you, Liv, and thank you, Kimberly, for sharing your experiences. We really appreciate having you on with us tonight. For everyone else still on the call, please go ahead and stay connected with us through our hashtag #OneSimpson. Follow us on social media. This call has been recorded as well, so it'll be available on YouTube for you to go back to, but we also will send out the presentation. I'll send the links out to you all, as well as some PDFs of just some things to kind of help you get organized and get thinking about some of the things that you're going to need when you're looking at schools. All right. Thank you all so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. And join us for our next Explore series. We'll have some financial aid coverage at the end of this month. And then we'll be doing more of these virtual events until we can see you back on campus in the fall. Thanks for joining us.